till now we have covered the concept of API. How do we connect with the API? What are the protocols and rules and regulations and best practices for the API? Now the next major data source is the databases. Database usually store the data in the form of a structured way. Sometimes it can be semi-structured, but most of the time they store the data in the form of a structured way. So most important database or the most commonly used database is the MySQL. So we are going to start the MySQL database. How we can connect with the MySQL database? I am assuming you all people know the concepts of the basics of SQL queries. To establish the connection between Python and the MySQL database, we will use the sqlalchemy. Mysqlalchemy is a library which will help you to make the connection. Let's first install the sqlalchemy. sqlalchemy will handle the connection. PyMySQL is the driver, MySQL driver. Third is the pandas. These three are the requirements for setting up the connection. We all have the panda, so don't need to install the panda. Just you can install these two. Once they are installed, for notes and the code, you can visit my GitHub profile. Link is given in the description. Now the details which we will require to establish the successful connection is the host name. Here the host is the local host. That's why we have used the 127.0.0.1. Although in your case, in the practical case, this host will be some IP or it will be provided by your organization. Here for the experimental basis, I have used my local host. You can install the MySQL database first. Okay. The best part is you can install the MySQL workbench. This is the MySQL workbench. Here, if you can notice, it is a local host, local instance, and port is also given 3306. Here are the details. Username is the root. Password it is stored here in the vault. Host is the local host. The local host can be defined by the 127.0.0.1 also. Or you can specify the local host. Second is the username root. Third is the password. Fourth is the port. These four things are required. But for establishing the connection, you need the MySQL database. You can install the MySQL workbench. It is an easy setup. Once you have installed, you can copy these details and use it here. So hostname, port, user, and this is the password. Although it is not a best practice to say the password like this, you can store the password in the environment, which we have discussed in the earlier videos. You can visit the earlier videos. In the authentication video of the API, I have discussed that part. And then the database. Database, for which database you want to establish the connection. If I open the MySQL workbench, so these are the databases. We have classic model, customer, HR, and all these databases. You can either make the connection to either of the database. From the sqlalchemy, you will import the create engine and the test. These two functions. Now this is the format of the connection. This is the format of the connection, or the connection URL you can say. Let's understand how it is formulated. First one is the MySQL, to which kind of database we want to establish the connection. Obviously it is MySQL. Second one is the driver. Then user, password, host, port, database. This is the predefined structure of the URL string or the connection string you can say. Once it is set up, then you will use this connection string in the create engine function. Create engine will set up the connection with MySQL database. Right now connection is not open, but it will create a connection here. These all details have been utilized in this connection string, and once we have set up the engine, Then we will use engine.connect. Now it will establish a connection. Engine, what is the engine? Engine is the details of the connection which you have used. Now using the details you will set up the connection. Engine.connect as connect connection SCONN, and then you will execute this query. Why we are creating the connection? In the first step, using the create engine function, we have stored the details of the connection. In the second step, using the with engine.connect as CONN, what we are doing, we are establishing a connection. And using the connection, we will run the queries, SQL queries. And through that, we will fetch the data. Here, if you will see, we have used the result equal to, in the result object, we are storing connection.execute, then query. The output of this query will be stored in the result. This query will be executed in the Mysql database using the connection, and that result will be stored in the object result. Once they are stored, then you can easily print using the for loop. I have applied the limit of only 10 rows for row in result. See, we got all the details. The 10 details. The 10 records. Now the question arises, why we are using the test? What's the use of this test? This test is helping us to convert the query into a format of the Mysql database. Sometime due to some kind of formatting error, your query will not be executed. So to get in the format of the Mysql, we will use the test function and nothing else. Test function has only the formatting significance. So what we have seen in this code, we are using these to establish a connection. These are the details which we need, and we have created the connection string, and that connection string is used to create an engine, and that engine will create a connection, and through that connection we will execute the query, and we will store that results into a object, and that object we can use easily. This is the simple code. Although this part is not practical, we will see how in the practical case we will work. Now there is one important function, fetch1. Fetch1, what will do? All the code is same. Just in the object we have used the fetch1. Fetch1 will give the one row at a time. For example, you have fetched first row. Then the first row is of the Stephen King, and you want to fetch another row, then you will again run the fetch. One by one it will fetch the rows. Let's see here. When we run the first time, then we will get the Stephen King. When we are running the fetch one again, then it will give the second row, Nina. First one is the Stephen, second one is the Nina. It's a simple function. Then the fetch all. Fetch all, we fetch the all rows in a one time. Usually we use fetch all. Now there are two commands which we can use here for creating the connection. Here we have used the engine.connect. Similar function is the engine.begin. There are two types of command. First one is the engine.connect, engine.begin. Engine.connect is perfect for fetching the data. Engine.begin is perfect for doing some changes in the database. For example, you are creating a new table or deleting the table or deleting some records or updating the records or inserting the records. For that, begin is good. Why? Because it will handle this kind of transaction efficiently. If anything wrong happen, then begin will not commit your changes. So I will recommend to use begin then. Now the most important and practical approach. Usually we load the data in the data frame. How we will do that? We have already created the engine in the above code, so I am not creating it again. What we will do, in the pandas we have the function read_SQL, and in that we will run this query and we will give the engine details in the second parameter, and automatically we will have the data frame. You are free to ask any kind of questions in the comment box. I will try to reply as soon as possible, or you can mail me. I've given my mail ID also. Load in data in chunks. Many a times our database have tables which have huge number of rows, 1 million, 2 million, and fetching all the rows in a one time will crash your server also and the Python also. So what's the best practice? We will divide the data into chunks. This is the query. Okay. Now what we are doing? We are using the same function pd.read SQL, and in that we are given this query, and here engine details. Then there is another parameter chunk size. Chunk size will define the number of rows in each chunk or in each batch. So there will be number of rows, two number of rows in each batch. It will divide the data set into batch of 2 because we have 4 rows, so 2 batches will be created. Here it will append the chunk in a empty list. We have initialized the empty list here, chunks equal to empty list. So this empty list will be appended on each loop. Each batch will be appended in that. First 2 rows will be appended in the first batch, then the next 2 rows will be appended in the next batch. Then in the final step, what we have did, we have created a data frame using pandas.concat, and we have given the chunks here. So it will create a data frame and will append all the chunks in a one data frame. Let's see the output. This is the first chunk we have printed here, Steven and Nina. Then this is the second chunk, Lex and the Alexander. And in the last step, we have concatenated all the chunks in a single data frame. So it will help you in handling the huge number of rows easily. In a practical purpose, we will use the procedure of the chunks to handle the huge amount of data. We will divide the data set into multiple chunks, small chunks, and then we will load this into a Python. Similarly, these are the one way. The second way you can try, like inserting the data into a Mysql. The same way you can run the insert queries also. But with the insert queries and the update queries, I recommend to use the begin function, not the engine function. Thank you.